I knew that this was your friend.
Yeah.
So I remember all this happening because when it originally happened about 2 years ago, when Sharon got fired from the talk, and there was like a whole lawsuit or whatever behind that, you know, it became, that's when I really started noticing Piers. And so Piers was very disrespectful.
Yeah.
He kept trying to cut me off because he wanted Riley to look good, because they were not expecting me to come in with facts. They were not expecting me to come in and talk about lived experience. They were not coming in. They were not expecting me to come in and take up space. They were not expecting me not to talk back and not to clap back. You got me totally confused. When I go on these platforms, I set an intention. You are going to hear me. And the reason why I kept talking over them is because I was showing up and making space for the voice of the Black trans woman, because he was trying to suppress the Black trans woman voice and try to amplify the white trans. The white cis girl's voice. And the thing is, again, Riley could not defend herself against my talking points. She competed against Leah Thomas, who is a trans woman who won in the swimming competition. And so the thing is, the point I was making about it in the on the show was, Leah also lost some games. So that means she lost to cis women swimmers. So that means that some cis women
fifth place they were fighting over anyways?
Yeah, it
wasn't even first place. It was fifth place.
Yeah. So that means some cis women like Riley are stronger than trans women like Leah. And that's what I brought up in Pierce's show. Some cis women have natural faster agility. They have natural testosterone levels.
Yeah, or
than some trans
for
women.
20 years.
Yeah, and so genetics does play a part in that. But see, that conversation was too high vibrational for them. That's why Riley and Piers resorted to misgendering me.
Yeah.
Well, mostly Riley. But all I see with Riley is low self-esteem, low confidence, insecurity, because a trans woman pretty much defeated her. And she thought that by going to Donald Trump and booty clapping those little cheeks for Donald Trump, that all of a sudden this exposure for her is just going to be so grand. And the conservatives, they love ditsies like that. Riley Gaines is a ditzy in my view. I devoured her. I destroyed her in the debate. It was pretty obvious. I came in with facts, and girl, get over yourself. Stop looking like a Tommi Lahren reject.
Which
find your own style.
That she was on the other line. She was on the other line when you said that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I heard that Tommi Lahren was in the next segment. I didn't know. Because my friend Ernest Owens, I love so much. Ernest is such a powerful writer. Like, his journalism is incredible, by the way. I love Ernest Owens. But Ernest was in that segment. And I saw Ernest had commented in my Facebook post about it. And it's so funny because when I was going to Piers, I thought about Ernest, because I know Ernest has done episodes in the past.
Yeah.
And he'd always done a great job. I know Roland Martin, Mark Lamont, like all of them have been like the Black commentators that have been on there. And so I was just like, oh shit, I'm going to be like up there with them or whatever. And so it was crazy that he ended up being in the next segment. And he told me he actually saw all of what happened. He saw the entire thing when we originally filmed it.
I love that for you, because there's no way Tommi Lahren isn't kind of like...
Yeah. And I did not sign an NDA, by the way. They did not NDA me, so I have free...
And didn't they have like a news... Oh, that was one more thing that I wanted you to talk about, because you told me, because I was on the phone with her with like all of this was going down, because at one point they're like, oh yeah, we're going to send a news van down at this time. And then something happened where they're like, actually, and it was like 20 minutes before showtime. They're like, actually, can you do us a favor? Can you set up a whole Zoom setup when like... I usually help you with the Zoom stuff, so we didn't even have time to set anything up. And it felt like a sabotage on top of a sabotage on top of a sabotage. And even the way that just like if you watch the intro, this is telling right alone. And if nobody can see this, you are blind as day when it comes to looking at what the narrative that is being projected in these conservative areas and how they take trans people's narratives and twist them in media. Because right from the jump, it goes, the great Riley Gaines. And then meanwhile, it's like Blossom, this activist.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's to be expected from Piers. That's the thing, though.
It's like you can't even pretend to be neutral for 1 second.
Yeah. Because he's what he is.
But he portrays that to his audience, that he is neutral. Meanwhile...
He's a racist and a fascist, in my view.
And he literally destroyed Sharon Osbourne's career and takes no responsibility for it. He actually is not.
And if they're still friends, that's weird to me. If they're still friends,
because he convinced her that everybody was against her instead of actually going, hey, You took a hit for being my friend that I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
He had no responsibility for that. And Sharon, from what I learned in your episode, dealt with depression and all of these things. And he's sitting there talking like, yeah, she dealt with depression. Never
But what
making
about
the connection that it was him that put her in that position in the first place, because it wasn't even Sharon that they were confronting. They're going, hey, your friend's saying some racist stuff. What do you feel about it? And did she navigate it right? No, she didn't. I watched the clip when they came back. She was like screaming at Cheryl Underwood.
And that's the thing. Nobody checked up on Cheryl Underwood because Cheryl Underwood was suffering the most. And that's what I was trying to bring up the point. Black women cannot be racist to white women. And Piers and Riley think otherwise. Those two morons have no idea what I was talking about because, again, you don't have the intellect to understand that Black people in this country could never be racist. Yeah. Black people can be prejudiced.
Thank you.
But we cannot be racist. And truth be told, Riley and Piers were mad because I was not going to bow down to them and because I'm not scared of them. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. And while you're on Fox News talking about me, make sure you take this clip and let them know. I said what I said. I meant what I said. I destroyed and devoured Riley Gaines in a debate. I destroyed Piers Morgan's whole ideology. I devoured him in a debate. I am a badass. And I'm the Black trans woman, the Black liberal trans woman that you would never forget. So when you go run your friends to talk about me, honey, just know I'm still fly. I'm a powerhouse. I even got Piers Morgan to admit that I was a powerhouse on television, on national television. Piers Morgan, you are now my son. And Riley Gaines, you my daughter. Piers Morgan, I got Piers Morgan to admit that I'm a powerhouse on national television. Trans people, trans struggling content creators, please don't be fooled. You don't need a certain amount of followers to make an impact. If I can make Piers Morgan my bitch and tell him and make him admit to me that that I'm a powerhouse, honey, you can do it too. If I can make that man admit to me that I'm a powerhouse and make him my bitch and my son, you can do it too.
You're an inspiration. We need this so much right now. We need this so much right now. Because again, to see Congress and Cory Booker throw his hands up in the air and say, I don't know what we want to do. Meanwhile, someone who doesn't have a following is going into these spaces in an attention economy and actually grabbing the attention for trans people so that we can have conversations, so people can get to know us, even if it is the full us. You represent you.
Yes.
I represent me. And this idea that we're going in and representing the whole trans community, listen, we've had people.
We don't speak for speak for everybody.
No.
We are representation from the community because Piers and them were talking about, oh, you're bad representation for your community. I only speak for myself.
Yeah. I
don't speak for other trans people in the community because they should have their own voices to speak. Why don't you give them a platform? I also named trans athletes like Chris Mosier and Skylar Baylor and Cece Telfer. Like, there's so many trans athletes that they could talk to. But I think for Chris Mosier, I think he made a post about this. I should not have to defend my experience to people who don't give a damn about me. And I understand that. So for me, that gives room for me to come in and debate for you because although I'm not a trans athlete, I study this because it affects my community. I study trans issues that affect our community. So that's why for me, some of the things they were asking me, I felt were better to be responded by somebody who is in that athletic field. But Piers' ass can't get nobody over there. So that's why all of a sudden they came over there. Yeah. But truth be told, I mean, think about it, y'all. They had to mute me. Because I'm such a powerhouse and because I have a voice, they had to mute me because they were not ready for what I was bringing. They were not prepared. They thought I was going to be another loud Black woman, and I'm not. I'm petty, but I'm not into that. I was very petty. Now, I can admit I was very petty out there. I was doing all this and whatever like that. I got that from Anna Navarro, by the way, because when she did the filing. Shout out to Anna Navarro on The View because I love The View. I'm manifesting. I get on The View.
We both want to be on The View.
Sunny Hostin is my birthday twin. Hey, Sunny girl.